So I've come here today from Northern Territory. Long drive, didn't do it all today. But start of the journey was I'd prepared everything. I'd told everyone I'm leaving on the 22nd, and I got up in the morning and I prayed, and I pray a simple prayer when I'm travelling. It is, Father, send Jesus before me. Lighten my path, make my path straight, and remove all obstacles from my way. With an amen, I got in my car, I'd packed everything in and drove. And I got down the road about 100 k's to a place called Adelaide River. And at Adelaide River, I went to purchase something, but I looked down on the seat next to me and I had my wife's car key. And I went, oh no. Well, she's got another car key. That's fine. She's got another key, but I'll get this back to her. Well, the little shop is also the local post office. So I went in there and I bought a drink, and I said to the lady behind the counter, look, I've just left Darwin. I'm on my way down to Victoria, and I've realised I've got my wife's car key. Do you have a little post bag that I can put the key in and send it back? And no worries. Comes time to pay, and I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and I looked at it like that, and I'm about to turn it on, and it had 21st of March. Now, I told you I was leaving on the 22nd, and I prepare for these things. I pack the things that I need, and I do all the rest of the stuff, and I'm usually fairly accurate with it. But obviously Jesus had something else in mind for me. He knew something that I didn't know. And I'd said to him, Father, Lord, go before me, make my path straight. So he knew that a few things were going to occur. One of the things was I'd stopped in a little town and I'd had something to eat, and I drove on, and it was late at night, and the place was called Dunmurra. And after a couple of hours I started to feel a little bit unwell. And then for the next 600 kilometres, I had regular stops on the side of the Stewart Highway, and I got more than a blessing from Dunmurra. I then had a blowout in the trailer that luckily I had grabbed 3 sockets and my rattle gun, and so I was prepared that if I had a blowout or anything, I'd have it covered. What I hadn't planned for was the spare tyre was bolted down with a completely different nut. Didn't fit the wheel nuts that I had checked out with a socket. I put it straight on and went, oh, that's good, no worries. 19mm, same as my car, so I'm set. So I didn't return the extra 2 sockets. I just threw them in the car with the rattle gun. We get down the road, I have this blowout, and it was on the left hand, as it's a dual axle trailer, on the left hand side, rear, and I grabbed that socket, and I knew what it was. It was a black socket. I go to put it on the nut, it will not fit. I tried it on the one in front and it fitted. So there was obviously, the front axle was a Ford axle and the rear axle was a Holden axle. Probably been home built. Perfectly serviceable. Well, that's okay. I thought, all right. I grabbed 3 sockets, and I just grabbed the silver socket, went down there, fitted on perfect. That's okay. I can now change the tyre. But I walk around to the front of the drawbar where the wheel is, and here's this strange bolt. I'd one look at it, I knew I had that I didn't have the right socket. Walked back to the car, reached in, and the 3rd socket, the ones that I'd just grabbed 3 around the size, because I've been in the motor trade for many years. Grabbed hold of that, took it up, put it on, and it fitted. But like I said, Jesus goes before me. He knows what's going to happen. He prepared. I get to Clare in South Australia. The trip was fairly uneventful after that. I'd recovered. I was fit and healthy again. And I got to drive a little bit further down the road. And when I got to Clare, I dropped off this trailer, and I could hear this noise in my car. And what had happened is the tensioner for the fan belt now had given up the ghost. And the belt is flapping all over the place, and I thought, I've still got a long way to go. And Lord, I've come across this obstacle, that obstacle, and you've cleared them out of the way. Father, I need help. Well, I worked out if I kept the revs up around about 2,000 revs, the belt was driving the water pump and the alternator and the power steering and everything else, and it was working. So I drove to Gawler, and I pulled over and I started ringing for accommodation. So I thought in the morning I'll be able to grab something to get me on my way, some spare part or whatever. I would have made 20 phone calls for accommodation, and nothing was available. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. What's going on in Adelaide at the moment? Everywhere I rang, sorry, we're fully booked. No, we don't have any accommodation. And I'd asked, look, could you put me on to someone that maybe will have? And then I'd ring the next number. I probably exaggerated on the 20. We'll come back to about 12. But I made these calls. And then I thought, well, many times I've cranked the chair back in the car, laid down and had a sleep. But I decided to look up Burson's, one of the auto places, and I thought, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive there and wherever it is, and I'll sleep there, and I did. So I spent the night there. The next day, the part that I require, there is none in South Australia, there is none in Victoria, there is 3 in a warehouse in Sydney. Remember I said, God, please light my path. Remove all obstacles. And it was then that, having spent the night outside, and I met a good Samaritan. I met Les. Les obviously been placed there by Jesus because I'd asked that he make my path straight, that he remove all obstacles, and he sent me someone that would help me, someone that could think outside of the square. He said, we don't have a belt that's going to fit. He said, I'll give you one and try this. You may be able to push the adjuster down and it will stop the belt flapping. And anyway, he gives me this belt and it's too tight. There is no way known. There's probably 30 centimetres too short. So even on the bottom of the adjustment, it's not going to work. Normally, people would give up there, like even their spare parts bloke. But he said, look, your car is supposed to have, we'll go the last 3 things, 620 or 660 or something like that. The original belt on my car was 665, so it was already 5 centimetres too large. And he'd give me a 555 or something. And anyway, he looks up and there is nothing available again anywhere. So that looks like the end of me coming to Hamilton. Things are not looking good. But again, I prayed, Lord, I've asked you to make my path straight. I've asked you to remove all obstacles. Anyway, Les goes, there is one other thing. He said, there's a small supplier down the road. He may have a belt. And lo and behold, he had the belt that would actually fit my car. And I thought, well, that's not going to be any good because the adjuster's not working. It's still going to be flopping around. But the reason that they put that bigger belt on it, so between China and Australia, something got mixed up with the measurement. And what had happened is I managed to get, after a struggle, I managed to get this belt on, which now has everything running. The adjuster's on the bottom. It's not going to work. It's only a temporary fix, but it's got me here to Hamilton. So, let you know how we account for the extra day. I said, Jesus, I asked him to make my path straight, remove all obstacles. He did all of that, but he realised that if with all this stuff that's going to happen, I'd be here tomorrow and not today.